Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so very much for tuning in to my super chat. Thank you. You give me every incentive to rock these live streams. We have a great time every evening around this time, 9:30, 10 p.m. I have the best live stream in the evening Pacific time. So around 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Pacific time every single evening. So be here, and thank you to Luke St. Martin, to Eric H526, the two best moderators in all of YouTube. To my super chat, thank you. You help me remain independent and do these things. Forbes, Trump signs executive orders, extends federal unemployment benefits at $300 per week, protects against evictions, defers student loan payments, suspends payroll tax. How is this the example of a madman? Notice how the spin about Trump being this horrible person evaporates after every executive order, or when you look at his actual achievements. So tell me, I want to know what is wrong with what he did. How is this an example of this horrible madman and monster? Paul Bartlett, hello. So, let's read this Forbes article. It's by Shahar Ziv, Personal Finance. I teach students and employees how to ace their personal finances. Forbes today, August 8th, 2020. Tell me how this man is a horrible monster. With White House officials and Democratic leaders at an impasse over a pandemic stimulus package, President Trump signed 4 executive orders Saturday at a press conference from his golf club in Bedminster, New Jersey. The legality of the executive actions is unclear as Congress and not the president controls federal spending. However, Trump said he is, quote, not at all worried about this. The Trump administration will try to repurpose up to $140 billion, including $80 billion from the money that hasn't been spent from the CARES Act, as well as $44 billion from the Disaster Relief Fund. The 4 executive actions relate to unemployment benefits, payroll taxes, rental foreclosures, and student loans. So the man can't win. When they say, well, his response to the pandemic, we don't like it, and he then says, well, you know what, let me go ahead and make sure that people aren't evicted. Because Democrats and the experts and really, wonderful people want to shut down the economy forever because cases have gone up. As if cases were just supposed to drop steadily down without ever spiking up on its way down to this pandemic being done. But here, Renee! Daddy Trump saving me from the demo board. Renee Miete, thank you, Renee. Hope all is well. Renee. The 4 executive actions relate to unemployment benefits, payroll taxes, rental foreclosures, and student loans. Pretty much everything that Bernie Sanders would have done. So tell me what, or any Democrat would have done the same thing. This is actually a political victory for President Trump because it's Democrats in Congress who own this. Not President Trump wanted to open up the economy a while back. And you could have simply opened up the economy and told people who were most vulnerable to you could have said everyone social distance, everyone wear masks, people who are the most vulnerable, take care of yourselves, take precautions, and if you're showing symptoms, do not leave the house. But the entire society had to shut down. We have tens of millions unemployed. Actually, 13 million unemployed now, according to the latest numbers. But extending enhanced unemployment benefit, let's just really quickly. Renee, thank you. Old school dad, man! What the Dems wanted in the bill was criminal, literally. Thank you, old school dad, man. And that's the thing, the Democrats think that they have, it ain't going to be Biden, it's going to be Hillary Clinton, she will lose. I'm telling you, I'll make the biggest political call of all time, but they are running on fumes. Let's just see, how many unemployed in U.S.? The June report showed nearly 18 million Americans were out of work. We learned Thursday just shy of 1.2 million were filed first-time claims for jobless numbers. Okay. They joined the roughly 30 million Americans who are already claiming unemployment benefit. The June report showed 18 million Americans were out of work. So 13 million or 18 million now. Which one is it? How many Americans are out of work right now? I'll probably go with 30 million. The Department of Labor will release its report. Okay, so the June report shows nearly 18 million Americans were out of work. We learned today that's just shy of the 1.2. They joined roughly 30 million Americans who are already claiming unemployment benefits. How many unemployed Americans are there right now? Let's start with those unemployment claims. So all the people who are receiving some form of unemployment benefits, and that's north of 31 million people. We went from record low unemployment, and Democrats said the sky was falling, to record highs now in unemployment. Democrats say the sky is falling. The media and Democrats, no matter what Trump does, whether it's good or bad, will be apoplectic and hysterical as always. And they'll blame Trump for everything, but they won't give him credit. See, that's the thing. If you're the quarterback of a team, or if you're the head coach of a team, you take the fall and you take the heat when times are bad. But do you also, however, benefit when you win the Super Bowl? You also benefit when times are good, when you're winning ball games. When you're winning championships, you are then applauded. You are then championed as, oh my God, this person is amazing. Tom Brady wins. He actually, I don't know when he's ever taken the heat for losing, because the Patriots hadn't really lost with him. He's not on the Patriots anymore, but you know what I mean. The quarterback of a football team takes the heat. Old school dad man, Renee. The quarterback of a football team takes the heat when times are bad. Trump takes the heat when times are bad, but he doesn't ever get any accolades for record low unemployment. We had a pre-pandemic an amazing economy. And then they got on him for saying it was the best economy we've ever had. And then, of course, you get the petulant fact-checking, it wasn't the best economy, he lied again. It's like, oh my God. But here, so there's 30 million people because of the response to the pandemic. The response to this pandemic has been so counterproductive economically. People will look back at this time. Look, if there's another pandemic, like 2 years from now, the country states will literally go bankrupt. It will take years. It will take years for states and you have states with tens of billions of dollars in terms of a budget deficit. Tens of billions of dollars. California had like a surplus for a second. The budget deficit in California now. Oh my God. How much debt does California owe? So let's look at this is according to California. Governor Newsom okays budget, closing $54.3 billion budget deficit. That was June 29th. $54.3 billion budget deficit. How can you function? At what point is it too? And then people are leaving California. So this is Mercury News. Governor Gavin Newsom okays budget, closing $54 billion. Okay, what's New York budget deficit? New York facing $30 billion budget deficit without federal aid. And the wonderful governor on March 1st stated that there's no reason for undue anxiety. So these are really wonderfully run Democratic strongholds. They're really great. I mean, the fiscal responsibility is fantastic. $30 billion budget deficit. And the good thing is that, thank God, AOC kicked out Amazon. That would have been horrible. That would have created, according to USA Today, 100,000 jobs just from the economic activity of 25 to 40,000 Amazon workers eventually settling there. And every single rebuttal, oh, well, they weren't getting workers from New York. It's like, so what? If you take 25,000 Amazon workers from other parts of the country, they still shop at retail stores, they go to food trucks, they go to dry cleaners, they go to restaurants, they go to, there would be tremendous amount of union work to build the headquarters. I mean, the studies that de Blasio and Cuomo did studies themselves that said it would benefit New York. And AOC was like, they're not paying taxes. I mean, it's like Democrats run on this Pavlovian response. They hear buzzwords like taxes, tax revenue, and it like gets them like 1%. And I know this because I was the biggest Bernie Sanders booster on the internet, according to the Huffington Post. So I understand how the left thinks. The left views government as the most wonderful friend, as you know, saving people. And in many cases, like, you need unemployment benefits. I agree with that. I'm not a fan of it cutting ever. I don't want unemployment benefits cut at all. I want them extended, which is what President Trump did. But where is the emphasis on generating wealth? Where is the emphasis on generating wealth? That's why it was actually probably, in hindsight, a great thing that Democrats got the House. Because they've done absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. But here, extending enhanced unemployment benefits. So what a monster Trump is. The draconian, cruel, authoritarian despot. This monster. This creature that we haven't seen something like this since Friday the 13th, 55. And he's the reincarnation of, Hellraiser and Carrot Top, all wrapped up into one bloating body. Extending enhanced unemployment benefits. Trump announced that his executive order would extend unemployment benefits at a rate of $400 per week. So, Luke St. Martin, you're right, $400 per week. However, states will be asked to cover 25% of the cost, according to Trump, with the federal government picking up the remaining 75%. This means that the federal contribution will only be $300, which states will be expected to kick in, while states will be expected to kick in $100. Trump did not announce for how long he would extend the benefits. His executive action included details. Did not include details. Money to cover the federal contribution will come from the Department of Homeland Security's Disaster Relief Fund. The fund currently has over $70 billion in funds available. Trump's order states that the increased benefits will be available for eligible claimants until the balance of the Disaster Relief Fund reaches $25 billion, or for weeks of unemployment ending no later than December 6, 2020. Whichever occurs first, at which the Lost Wages Assistance Program shall terminate. With over 30 million unemployed, the funds available to fund the unemployment benefit extension may only last a few weeks. So, remember Lucas BXN! H.A. Goodman here on the East Coast. Left Cornwall to keep a beautiful, warm state red. Nice! Latinos for Trump. I love my... Yeah! Bimbo against BXN. Hello! MAGA 2020. Hello! Thank you. Thank you so very much. Bimbo Dickens BXN. Thank you. One of the great names. One of the great names in this channel's history. Thank you very, very much. The Latino and Hispanic vote will be one of the major factors to give President Trump the victory. President Trump got 30% of the Latino vote in 2016, and he'll do even better this year. So the 600. Okay, so The $600 per week federal pandemic unemployment benefit expired at the end of July. Millions of Americans have not received a payment for 14 days, as the last payment went out on July 5th or July 26th. This is something I never understood. You have wonderful experts pertaining to, saving us from the pandemic. Really wonderful people who talk like this. And is a fantastic person who talks like this. And he knows everything about infectious diseases, and he's really fantastic. And I can't tell you how much I love the guy. And he's a man's man, and he's fantastic. He knows so much, and he always has a Clorets or some kind of hard candy he's chewing on. And he's so beloved by the media, and he basically has an opinion on everything except protesting, because that he can't talk like that. But you ask this person, if you ask me, you got to shut down the whole entire society, and that includes lemonade stands. It includes lemonade stands. Because making money spreads the pandemic. So we got about 320 million Americans, and we probably have to go ahead and turn the country into Mad Max and Waterworld. And this way, people will be saved. And it's like, why would you give the keys to the entire United States economy? Why would you give the keys to the entire United States economy to experts who didn't think this was going to be a major pandemic in January? So I'm not gonna bring up the man's name, but if you hear him speak, his accent and his voice, the emotion, the convey, his actions and his voice and his mannerisms convey the utmost intelligence, and only basically an encyclopedia of infectious diseases knowledge. And let's just see. So, you have the American people should not be worried or frightened about this. It's very, very low risk to the United States. So, so we go from that to the American people should not be worried or frightened, but at the same time, I think you should at least shut down every single business that ever has existed in this country. This way, people will be safe. I'm trying to help you people. What do I get for it? Bupkis. So, just letting you know. So, this is a Hill article. Pandemic isn't something the American people need to worry about. I love, Google is fantastic because the internet is great because liberals and Democrats haven't scrubbed and deleted every single possible site that makes them look foolish, which is basically, you could just kind of look back and 2 months. You can look 3 or 4 months back and, find Eric Swalwell telling people funny things and the New York governor, it's just, one thing I love about sports, which is why Democrats really don't care about sports, because there's a person who wins and a person who loses. A person who wins, it's very, very low risk to the United States of America. I said during an interview with radio show host John Katzia, Matitis. So, and I only have the utmost respect for this person because, I have the utmost respect for medical professionals, and God bless them. They're keeping us all safe. And they're really wonderful people that I would never disagree with ever. They're good people. Do you understand? Good people. Good people. They're good people. They're wonderful people. And it's people like H.A. Badman that give us so much love. Thank you. These are the people who took the entire United States economy and shoved it down the toilet because to save people, it's it's like that horrible, we have to save it, we have to destroy it. So Renee, I don't know what that means, but I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. Renee, that was good. Renee, I think you've overstepped your boundaries. I don't know what that means. And luckily, the algorithm was okay with it. Let me put my chlorets back in my mouth. I speak better with the chlorets. I sound like I know what I'm talking about when I have the chlorets in my mouth. And I think that we should all live without any capitalism or work. And that'll keep you safe. So, I mean, the Democrats are like, we can't work? You want people to perish? Yeah. And then they're so disingenuous. They're like, well, I guess we have to shut down everything. Because they're like, cases are going up. It's Trump's fault. And then, like, the states that are worse, the governor of New York has done so much good. And everything is just topsy-turvy, but that's okay. Look, I said this in my upload earlier today regarding Madam Secretary being nominee. I've given up. Do you understand? I've given up. So, Russia, do you hear that? Internet, Russia stole the election in 2016. The only thing I haven't given up on is Clinton being nominee, because Clinton, there's no way she's not going to be a nominee. I don't care if Biden takes the nomination and he's like, hey, come on, man. Come on, man. We'll just read this. Eventually, he was riding his bike today, and eventually Bubba Bill will put, like, tacks, and the bike will, like, the tire will pop, and who knows. Madam Secretary is going to be nominee. And by the way, when it happens, it will be something that nobody could have ever predicted. But you know what? I will be the biggest Hillary Clinton supporter on the internet. There's nobody better. I have an utmost respect for her. She's a fantastic human being. And Biden will get crushed in any debate, in any election with Trump. Because the bottom line is that people don't dislike his personality as much as they fear the way Democrats, people really don't like people don't like people don't dislike Trump's personality in the same manner. People don't dislike Trump's personality in the same manner the Democrats do. And It's like they obsess over his personality while at the same time ignoring, like, what they do is everything's an extreme. So we have the pandemic. That means no economy. We already, are you kidding? Secretly, I'm hoping that Biden is the nominee, and then we'd have, then this channel and my other channel will do even better than ever. But of course, because, President Trump would crush Biden. There's no way that Biden wins. But Clinton's going to be the nominee. It doesn't even matter if he accepts the nomination. The whole thing's a racket. That's the way they roll. It's like the biggest racket in the world. Meanwhile, Republicans have adamantly opposed the $600 extension. See, that's not good. They have argued that $600 benefit is a disincentive for Americans to return to work, despite numerous studies refuting the argument. Again, I think that's wrong on the Republican side, just because there aren't that many jobs out there available now. So Senate Republicans in the White House initially wanted to change the unemployment benefit to calculate. So he basically went against his own political party, something Bernie Sanders would never do because, well, by the way, Bernie Sanders and John Kasich this is hilarious. Bernie Sanders and John Kasich, Republican John Kasich, and people get on me for voting for Trump. John Kasich is speaking at the Democratic convention. Kasich and Sanders to join forces for a night of unity at the Democratic convention. This is exactly. Did I not tell you? I said there was no difference between an establishment Republican and an establishment Democrat. I told everyone this. Now you have like Rose Twitter and like funny names like, Devin Nunes is proctologist's neighbor. And they think they're like the most amazing things on the internet. They're the left, the entire left is the reason that one of the reasons, in addition to him being a great president, one of the reasons that President Trump's going to win. So it's like they're so incompetent, and they think that they think that John Kasich, first of all, the Lincoln Project, John Kasich, Jeff Flake, people who look at Trump and his empathy is not empathetic. Like when President Obama waged the NATO intervention, he was very empathetic. And when the country turned into a failed state in Libya, he was very empathetic. And when human beings were being bought and sold in Libya, Democrats were very empathetic. And when Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld started never-ending counterinsurgency conflicts, they were very empathetic. So it's like this idea about empathy, this idea about, Trump's personality. Anyone would look bad. Anyone would look bad. If media just devoted itself, if all they did was try to, did they ever fact check President Obama? Never. Hardly ever. And when they did, I remember this was when there was a pretty famous, back and forth. It wasn't really a back and forth, but pretty famous back and forth when President Obama was choosing Clinton as his nominee or as his Secretary of State, and there was a journalist that said, "Gosh, President Obama, you stated during the campaign trail that Clinton basically had her experience was having tea with foreign dignitaries, something along those lines." And then President Obama answered, I know you're having a lot of fun with this. I know you're having a lot of fun. You're having a lot. And that was the end of it. I know you want to create a rift, and that was the end of it. It wasn't like today did he lie? Was he lying on the campaign trail? So you can easily call that a lie. That would be one of the 20,000 lies President Trump's told. That would be one of the 20+ thousand that President Obama would have told, or 40,000 or whatever. If you want to judge people the way you judge President Trump, then do so across the board. Then they're going into, Trump's cognitive decline. So you can, this is the thing, they try to make everything morally relative. And their strategy, it's kind of hilarious too, because they're going to lose again, which they'll lose again because they can't. This is why sports are so amazing. Their strategy is to accuse the opponent of what you're guilty of or what you convey or what you exemplify. So Biden has stated he's running for Senate. The man slurs his speech all the time. He has stated that Arizona is a city. You can hardly hear him. You're talking about a person who, when he speaks, is just simply not coherent. And it has nothing to do with a personality trait or just a mannerisms during speech, because he also displays that as well. This is a person that there's no doubt, if we were not the Democratic nominee, there's no doubt that people would say, okay, there's something going on here. Their strategy is going after Trump and taking anything from walking down a ramp to drinking water and saying it's just the same. And you know what? Biden's doing a lot better. And then Trump, it's just both of them are, have unique ways of speaking. And you know what? Oh, Trump's cognitive decline. They were trying to get Trump on the 25th Amendment because, for the longest time they were like, Renee, hello. For the longest time they were like, oh yeah, he's completely lost it. So they're not. I mean, this charade. I'm telling you, I'm going to go with Clinton being the nominee till November 3rd, if Biden is actually the nominee, which would be really absurd, and that's not the case. Clinton is going to be the nominee, even if Biden can accept the nomination a couple weeks from now. That would be absolutely meaningless because they don't even have the DNC attorneys already stated they could pick a nominee in smoke-filled back rooms. The rebuttal to Clinton becoming the nominee is that, well, she's polarizing. People don't care enough about Biden for him to be polarizing. And when they say that he's doing better than Clinton in the polls were dreadfully wrong anyway. So he's doing better based upon surveys or polls that were already completely inaccurate. So he's doing better based upon an evaluation that proved to be complete and utter nonsense. Their appeals to authority, like the intelligence community has never been right about any major, from the Bay of Pigs to the Gulf of Tonkin to WMD to Facebook ads, they've never been right about anything. And they could have simply, think about it. If Facebook ads were being purchased by Russia, why didn't Brennan make a big issue with Zuckerberg or Jack Dorsey with the Twitter bots? So you can take the absurd, hilarious propaganda to its take the logic to its logical conclusion, or take the arguments or statements to their logical conclusion. Russia was purchasing Facebook ads. You mean that the intelligence community didn't know? You mean that there's nothing they could have done? That Zuckerberg, and Zuckerberg was even, and Facebook was even accepting the money from the Russian intel officials? Because, what was it? The troll farm was buying, Facebook ads under the orders of Putin. And this happened during President Obama's administration. So did the intel community save us from the Russian interference? It's so easy to just dissect this nonsense and eviscerate this nonsense. Do you know anyone who looked at a Facebook ad and said, gosh, I was going to vote for Clinton, but Trump looks really good in that Facebook ad? No, nobody said this ever. So, suspending payroll tax. Trump's executive order would delay payroll taxes until the end of the year as of September 1st, 2020. It would apply to workers earning up to $100,000 per year. This will mean bigger paychecks for working families, Trump said during a press conference. Trump said he would forgive the delayed payroll taxes if reelected. If I win, I may extend and terminate. Trump has been enamored by payroll tax cuts for several months, despite a cool reception from Democrats and Republicans alike. I'm not a fan of that. All right, so one person said he's not a fan of it. Okay, so payroll tax cut was culled from the proposal that Senate Republicans unveiled. Okay, so protecting against eviction. Trump also issued an executive order to protect against evictions. Trump said during his press conference that his executive order will, quote, make sure renters and homeowners can stay in their homes. The initial federal eviction moratorium only applied to roughly one-third of renters because it only covered subsidized housing and rental properties with loans backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. The text of Trump's order appears to offer relatively weak eviction protections. It does not extend the eviction moratorium, nor does it provide money for rental assistance. Well, Democrats have this is the thing. They constantly say, well, we have to shut down the economy. And then when there's the consequence of people being evicted, they say, gosh, it's really terrible, what Trump is doing. Then I think he can't go beyond loans backed by Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, because then he would be getting involved with the 2/3 of loans given to renters by banks and lending firms. So this is just a complete mess. And it's not Trump's fault. Democrats and media have stood behind the pandemic and pretended that they've benefited politically, saying that, oh, look at this economy, it's just so bad. They're the ones who gleefully say, gosh, we have to shut down the economy. The cases are up. Yeah, well, okay, that's horrible. Cases are up. But, you don't shut down the entire economy. You already did that. And you had to do what you had to do, I guess. People, this is the interesting thing. People weren't going to restaurants towards the beginning of the pandemic anyway. There were states that didn't even completely shut down, and they're doing a million times better than places like New York and New Jersey and Illinois, Democratic-run states. And God bless the people of those states. Amazing people in those states. But we're now looking, it's like Democrats can't have their cake and eat it too. They said we got to shut down the entire country, and this has nothing to do with politics, even though November 3rd is around the corner, and it's just to save lives. But then, during the pandemic, they shut down the economy, but they didn't shut down their primaries in Arizona, Illinois, Florida, and Wisconsin. So they just play the most disingenuous game possible. They play the most disingenuous game possible. And they still think that Vladimir Putin really cares about the Democratic Party. Because why? Because they were told by John Brennan that Putin, now you have there's no evidence. There's not even one Facebook ad that can be attributed to Putin that swung votes. Find one Facebook ad. One. Which Facebook ads swung voters? And why would Putin be afraid of Bill Clinton when he met with Bill Clinton at his home? When Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin at his home. Madam Secretary used servers without any encryption for 3 months. You think Putin's afraid? You think he got 20% of U.S. uranium capacity? 20% of U.S. uranium capacity that was signed on, that could have been vetoed by President Obama. Even Snopes says that. Why didn't President Obama veto the sale? Why didn't President Obama's intelligence community stop Russian interference? Because it was a backup excuse. It was an excuse to save face that millions of mindless people across the world believed, or across the country. Democrats. So, with negotiations over the next pandemic stimulus package as an impasse, President Trump's executive orders may help provide temporary relief to millions of Americans. However, the executive actions are only a band-aid situation. True relief will require compromise and legislative action. True relief will require the country to be up and running again. And Democrats don't want that. And media doesn't want that. And, you know, they say, well, the pandemic. Well, look, nobody wants anyone to suffer from the pandemic. But if you are at risk, I mean, ask what the mortality rate is. Notice how media, and notice how some people never even talk about it. Why they don't talk about the mortality rate, I have no clue. And why doesn't this guy talk about how New York and New Jersey and Illinois are doing compared to Wyoming or Kansas or Nebraska? You never get any nuance or discussion. You never get any nuance or discussion or context. Like, very simple questions are never. This is like the United States of America has giant blind spots when it comes to media. Nobody has anyone asked what the mortality rate is? The New York governor, according to Business Insider, said 0.5% in New York. So what does that equal to survival rate? Nobody is saying that it's not serious. But if everyone has to cover their face and everyone on the planet could be asymptomatic, then you're not talking about something that, the second you get it, it's like you're pushing up daisies. So what's the survival rate? What's the mortality rate or recovery rate? But mainly, what's the mortality rate? William, let's see. Okay, The Hill. Stop the Panic. The data is in Stop the Panic. This is The Hill, Dr. Scott W. Atlas. The recent Stanford University antibody study now estimates that the fatality rate if infected is likely 0.1 to 0.2%, a risk far lower than previous World Health Organization estimates that were 20 to 30 times higher than that motivated isolation policies. The mortality rate initially was 20 to 30 times higher what the Stanford rate study was. So anyway, the whole point is the following. Whatever the mortality rate is, it doesn't warrant the initial shutdown in the entire country. Old school dad, man. HJ, who do you think masterminded the coup plan? So many good choices. Old school dad, man, I think it was probably John Brennan. It was probably John Brennan and Clapper. John Brennan. I think it was those two. Old school dad man, thank you. Old school dad man, as always, thank you. Mike Caballero, HA, relationships have changed. I've lost friends over the past 4 years. Do you ever talk to others from your Bernie days? Bridges burned. People don't want. Well, I don't have any bridges burned. But I still occasionally, converse with a couple of people. But the pundits or the YouTubers who have had me, like, basically people on the left are embarrassed that they ever associated with me because of my support for President Trump. So not everybody, but there are a lot of people who just they got heat for me supporting President Trump. So, but in terms of I have friends, but that's not like I'm totally fine. I'm totally fine with him. Like I'm all good, 100% good friends with him and with pretty much a number of people. There have been a couple people associated with the 3 million sub channels that I was like on. I was on one of this. I don't want to get into any issues, but like for example, I was like, one YouTuber that interviewed me twice had a disparaging word to say about me, so I said let's debate, and then he didn't want to. He said, "Oh, it wouldn't be a good faith debate." It's like, what? A debate is about truth. If you don't have truth or logic on your side, then you're not going to win the debate. It's easy. So, in terms of the YouTubers, it's all good. In terms of my friends that I've known, there was probably about 4 or 5 that I will not have the same relationship to or speak to just because of their problems. I mean, there are people who put politics above friendship. That should tell you how they are as human beings. That should tell you, if you put politics above friendship and you convince yourself that Trump is after you personally, you have major issues. Thank you. Eric H526, let's see, hold on. Mike, thank you so very much, Old School Diamond. So I didn't see my Eric H526, I didn't see. Oh, Jimbo! Post still starts September, so I can't wait past convention. She can't wait too long past convention. Convention is August 18th, so she's going to have to start. Or they do something like, if you vote for Biden, you vote for Clinton too. I don't know. Jimbo, there's no way that Clinton isn't going to be nominee. There's just no way. Jimbo! But she has to start. I mean, she would have to start. She'd have to be at the debates. But, J. Ryan, DOD! Could be exaggerated to force mail-in votes. I don't know. I'm going to say that they're accurate. I'm going to just say that they're accurate if contested until January 20th. 20th Amendment kicks in. Pelosi becomes president. No, I don't know about that. I don't think so. I don't think I don't know if it would be contested that long because the Supreme Court would rule on any That's J. Ryan DOD. Thank you. The House of Representatives would decide. The House of Representatives would decide if the Electoral College was tied. If the Electoral College was tied, then the House of Representatives decides. But I think that is... So if the Electoral College is tied, the House of Representatives decides. I think that it would... If it gets close, whether it's like, you had the hanging Chads in 2000... So, I mean, this is funny, too. The 2000 Supreme Court. Let's go back in time. It would be Gore, 531, U.S. 19... Okay, so was a decision of the United States Supreme Court that settled a recount dispute in Florida's 2000 presidential election. The ruling was issued on December 12, 2000. On December 9th, the court had preliminarily halted Florida recount that was occurring. So it would be like a Bush v. Gore. The court ruled the use of different standards of counting in different counties violated the Equal Protection Clause and ruled that no alternative method could be established within the time limit set by Title III of the United States Code. So whatever happens is going to be litigated pretty quickly, I think, and it'll get to the Supreme Court. I could be wrong, but I don't. J. Ryan DOD, it would have to be actually close. And I don't think. Look, they're going to go with Hillary Clinton because she's the only chance they have. Biden would get completely demolished. There's no way that Biden defeats Trump. There's no way that Biden defeats Trump because the average sentiment, people who didn't vote for Trump just dislike him more. That's it. The people who didn't vote for Trump dislike him a lot more. The people who are on the fence like him more. That's just the way that's what's taken place. And I don't see how you have a tremendous amount of voter turnout on the Democratic Party side when you have 30 million people unemployed. And these people are like, they're not blaming Trump. The media can try to paint Trump as the pandemic response. I've actually had the unfortunate, the misfortune of having to debate somebody, a friend of mine or whatever. I didn't really debate him, but he was just like, Trump's response to the pandemic directly cost lives. Like, no, you're wrong, but that's like just the most illogical, irrational thing. That's like saying New York's governor's response, which is actually his response, direct has a more direct impact on the people of New York than Trump's response. That's like saying, well, he cost human life. He cost the lives of people. When you, by the way, deny people a choice of medication, for example, a lot of things. We can go on forever, but the way media and Democrats have played this is, well, like it's everything's Trump's fault. The average American doesn't think that way. The polls, by the way, are completely. The polls, by the way, are complete. And nobody's more racist than Biden. That's just like I haven't seen a politician ever say the things that Biden has said. And you look at President Trump, they have to create subtext. They have to create subtext. He said that all of these people are criminals. No, he didn't. No, he didn't. Play the tape. No, he didn't. He said both sides. No, he didn't. Play the tape. He wasn't referring to a tiki torch monsters. No. He wasn't referring to racists or he wasn't, no, he wasn't. Play the tape. Play the complete tape. You can't find a politician who has said more racist things than Biden and gets away with it because media props him up. Look, you can't hide on the football field. You can't hide on the baseball diamond or on the basketball court. You can't hide. There's no way to make a quarterback who isn't a good quarterback. There's no way for media to help somebody throw a touchdown pass or catch a touchdown pass or, shoot a three-pointer or hit a home run or strike out people. You can't media. This is why sports or score a hockey goal in the NHL, whatever. This is why sports, is so much more pure. Of course, you have the Houston Astros that make it, kind of throw a wrench in my analogy, but this is why sports in general so much more pure because sports writers and sports media have nothing to do with what goes on the field or on the court or on the diamond. You look at the scoreboard and you find out who won, and that's it. That's it. And you can't make a player who stinks and who's just horrible into an all-star or a Pro Bowler. You can't do that. You can't simply, with public relations, say, oh, well, that person is batting 198 with 30 strikeouts, but he's really, really good, and he's going to be, the cleanup hitter. He's really good. Or, the quarterback has thrown 10 interceptions, but you know what? We're going to start him again because he's really good. Everyone love him. He's such a good quarterback. See, even the Washington Post and the New York Times has said that. You can't hide. They're hiding. They're sweeping under the rug. They're trying to repackage or trying to excuse or explain. They're just running on overdrive. They're backpedaling. They're twisting themselves into pretzels, trying to make Biden into this great candidate. Nobody knows what he stands for. His history on the issues important to Democrats that they claim are important to them is horrendous. He constantly makes gaffes every single day. Every single day. And nobody reports it. Except, some people online report it, of course. I mean, there are great YouTube channels that report it, but nobody in mainstream reports it. Nobody. Everybody is just, oh gosh, he's so empathetic. Tara Reid, they've completely silenced her. This is not somebody who's going to get turnout. You don't get turnout by this, propping up a horrible candidate. Media cannot do that. They tried to do that in 2016, but this is actually going to be even better when Clinton becomes nominee. Who knows how it happens or when it happens, but it's not going to be Biden versus Trump. And if it's Biden versus Trump, I will I do care because I want my philosophy on the Democratic Party to be validated and vindicated forever, which it kind of already is, but even more so. But if Biden loses to Trump in a landslide, or Biden loses to Trump by such a wide margin they can't even cheat, I'm good. I'm happy. Bimonikas BXN! What's saying that? I don't know what that means, but Bimbo Dickens BXN, thank you. Bimbo Dickens BXN, thank you so very much. I'm not sure exactly what that means, but I do appreciate it. Thank you. Sigma Nu UCLA, greetings. Thank you. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you for watching. Greatly, greatly appreciated. One of the few Bruins that I really like. No, just joking. I know a lot of great Bruins, but Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you so very, very much. Bimbo Duckins BXN, Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you so much. So he signs a whole bunch of executive orders that any Democrat would have signed. And the polls are not accurate. They were not accurate before the 2016 election. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you. The polls were dreadfully off. And, it's like, I don't know what they're going to do. They're going to try to investigate Trump for winning again. They're going to try to investigate President Trump for winning again, because he's going to win. They haven't even. We don't even know who his vice president's going to be, and could be Clinton, but who knows? The whole thing is, do you honestly see Biden? He's doing worse among Black and Latino voters than Clinton did. How on earth is he going to have turnout? how on earth is he going to have turnout? Now, I called the 2016 election. I'm telling you that Trump is going to win. I'm telling you that Clinton somehow is going to be across that ballot, like I said. I don't know what to say. There's no way Biden is a serious candidate. You have to ask yourself, what have media been right about? Like the past 20 years, when they've obsessed over something, what have they been right about? When they've obsessed over something, whether it was Clinton winning Texas or Clinton easily defeating Trump or WMD or what have they been right about? Russia. Trump worked with Russia. That never happened. I want to know what. So now they're saying the same thing again. They're doing the same thing. Liberals and Democrats are overconfident, and they're going to go into the election, and they're going to lose again. And if it's with Biden, they lose by a pretty substantial margin. I would say enough of a margin that cheating won't help them. And again, I mean, you have presidents who W. Bush wasn't exactly revered going into 2004. Okay. And we had military conflict that was just unraveling. That he started, Bush, Cheney, and Rumsfeld. He still won. I don't see. Look at the challengers. Look at the people that. I mean, Kerry wasn't a great candidate. Kerry wasn't a great candidate. John McCain wasn't a great candidate. But I mean, we had a complete financial collapse, so that was one factor. Biden is a horrendous candidate. There's zero enthusiasm for Biden. Zero. The media just doesn't like President Trump because just ask John Kasich and Bernie Sanders. They don't like his personality. They don't like the fact that he's not politically correct. They can't stand him. They can't stand the fact that he doesn't care about their influence on society. He does not care about what the prevailing mentality is. And he's reversing U.S. foreign policy, which is a huge, huge deal. That's probably the biggest issue here. Memo Dickens BXN! YouTube made me edit previous message regarding... Memo Dickens BXN. I can't get into the... the statistics or any of that pertaining to the pandemic, because that's very touchy for the algorithm. But we'll probably look back at this time period and say, gosh, a lot of weird things took place. Bimbo Dickens BXN, thank you. Sigma Nu UCLA. Restrictions are a crime against humanity. I mean, it's unbelievable how what they've done is made a catastrophe. What they've done is make a public health emergency an economic catastrophe. Sigma Nu UCLA, media and Democrats have made a public health emergency an absolute economic catastrophe. It was either one or the other. We have to have an economic catastrophe. That's the only way to deal with the public health emergency. It's no, it never had to be like that. It never had to be like that, ever. Sigma Nu UCLA, I agree with you. I agree with you 100%. I agree with you 100%. Mad Cow Mark! Biden is just a dimension. They're not serious about Biden. If the one thing I have learned as a Bernie Sanders supporter, the biggest Bernie supporter on the internet according to the Huffington Post, and the unofficial scribe of Sanders' most hardcore voters according to the Washington Post, and yes, Trump has a lot more in common with Bernie Sanders than Biden has. A lot more, especially in terms of foreign policy. You could look at everything from the Trans-Pacific Partnership to Bernie Sanders talking about quagmires. That's why I was so passionate about Bernie Sanders. Unfortunately, he is speaking alongside John Kasich. And by the way, I'm not a Republican. I'm voting for President Trump. So it's like they keep thinking that if the Democrats are so oblivious, it's kind of hilarious. They're like, well, John Kasich is speaking as a Democrat. Doesn't that help Republicans? Like, no, don't you understand? These people are so clueless. Kasich is the reason Trump won. That's the reason he won. Kasich is the reason Trump won. Because Kasich and Paul Ryan and Pelosi, and they will all vote for the next intervention or failed NATO intervention or failed regime change. They will all push for that. That is exactly why Trump won, because he called out George W. Bush's failed foreign policy and completely obliterated Jeb Bush. So the debate, the logic goes with Trump, not the Democrats or media. When it comes to foreign policy, President Trump is reversing 20 years of failed foreign policy. That's why he signed the deal to get us out of our longest-running military conflict. Bimbo Dickens BXN, thank you. Oh, good, my man. Thank you. Bimbo Dickens BXN, thank you, as always, for watching. Greatly appreciated. Demo unit, hello. Hello, demo unit, hello. Tell him it's H.A. Badman. Sigma Nu UCLA, Mad Cow Mark. So I have to explain this again. John Kasich is exactly why Trump won. And when they lose again, they will blame Martians, and just today or the other day, New York Magazine, Trump is working with Russia again. Get over it. He never worked with Russia. Now anything that I'm looking at some of the comments. Any critique of Biden is actually a Russian plot. So they should just go ahead. It's like, honey, if you see me with two women in our bed, that's what the neighbor who likes you wants. He wants you to question why two women are in our bed with me. He wants you to question why there's no clothes on. Why all the clothes are on the floor and I'm in our bed with two women. So you close that, you shut that door right now and you think about what you've been in your mind imagining. Okay? It's true that I'm in the bed with these two women right now, but you walked in here and you didn't even knock, and you know why? You know why you're suspicious? Okay? You know why you're suspicious? Because the neighbor man likes you. Yeah. Jeff, the neighbor likes you. And he wants our marriage to just crumble. He wants us to get a divorce. So he said, go and open the door, and you found me with these two women in bed, and that's what Jeff wants you to find out. And then the wife says, but you're in bed with two women. What's wrong with you? You're cheating on me with two women. Okay, see, again, you're parroting the same talking points our neighbor Jeff has been telling you. It's pretty clear what's going on here. Why don't you just elope with Jeff? Because obviously, that's what you really want here, right? So it's the same thing. It's the same thing all over again. Samuel Stafford! Deja vu all over again. November 3rd, 2020. It is deja vu all over again. Samuel Stafford. It is deja vu all over again. Thank you very, very much, Samuel Stafford. Thank you very, very much as always. Samuel, I hope all is well. I hope you're doing well. And it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be amazing. It'll be absolutely amazing. I say they're going to go. I predicted they're definitely going to go with Clinton because she has a chance to win. With Biden, they have no chance. And, then I get half of my prediction. President Trump's going to win. I've said this since for 4 years. So then eventually I'll be vindicated. It just matters how monumental the vindication is. Samuel Stafford, thank you. Thank you, Samuel Stafford. Thank you very, very much. How to get an 800 credit score LLC. Awesome content as always, HA. Thank you. How to get an 800 credit score LLC. Thank you so very, very much. One of the great businesses that I've heard of, one of the great names that I've heard of on this channel, because credit scores are important. And everybody wants an 800. Even getting 700 is tough, but how to get an 800 credit score LLC. Thank you so very much. Thank you as always. Thank you as always for watching. Thank you for the kind words as always. Awesome content as always, HJ. Thank you. How to get an 800 credit score LLC. Everyone support this man's channel. That's a great business. Great business concept. How to get an 800 credit score LLC. Thank you. Thank you again as always. Jimbo! Did you see Trump's presser with the peaceful protesters cheering him and booing the fake media? Reported on BCP. I have to check it out. I probably should have seen it already, but I will check it out. Black Conservative Patriot is fantastic. He's one of the channels I watch all the time, along with Sticks and Tim Pool. And Tim Pool is fantastic. Sticks is fantastic. Black Conservative Patriot is fantastic. Amazing Lucas is awesome. Kevin's Corner is awesome, hilarious. I've been watching a lot of different YouTube communities lately. It's really interesting. Samuel, again, thank you. Samuel Stafford, again, thank you. As always, Samuel Stafford, you are absolutely wonderful, and your support has helped keep me in an independent voice. And it's just amazing. I have just a really wonderful group of people who are just so supportive. And Samuel, thank you as always. How to get an 800 credit score LLC. Thank you as always. George Rivera Jr. HSC was allowed by official means to illegally transfer her servers. Had to been illegally authenticated. Such official servers have no thumb drives or CD ports. That's true. Paul Sperry. Paul Sperry has some great articles on that I cited in my books on Amazon. But George Rivera Jr., you're right. I mean, it's interesting too how if Trump or Jared Kushner had, could you imagine George Rivera Jr. and everybody here, if Mike Pompeo, Samuel, how to get an 800 credit score LLC, Mad Cow Mark, thank you as always, Mad Cow Mark. What if Mike Pompeo had servers outside of the United States government for 4 years. For 4 years. And said it was about yoga and just, everything. Could you imagine what they would do to Mike Pompeo? Could you imagine what they would do? They never ask simple questions. When it comes to simple questions, like why'd you have the server? I mean, was it to hide information? They wouldn't dare ask those questions. With Trump, it's like, oh yeah, well, Trump is a guy, and they're apoplectic. They're apoplectic, seething, fuming, hysterical, fanatical, always. And they think that their vitriol, they think their ire will sway voters, will influence voters. They really believe that their fury and their outrage and their temper tantrum, they really think that this is really going to swing the election. So George Rivera Jr., you're 100% right. George Rivera Jr., you're 100% right. This is also something I've never understood. And I've had you know that song, da 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 da. That's what friends are for good times and bad times. I'll be on your side, except if you vote for Trump, forevermore. You remember that? I love Dionne Warwick. That's what friends are for. But if you vote for Trump, I'll find out where you live and where you work and protest outside your work and force you out and make you homeless and ruin your life. They're completely lost it. There goes friendship. I mean, you've known people for 30 years. You think that you've built this but suddenly you vote for Trump? Yeah. Well, he's a horrible racist. Well, I obviously don't think that he is, Einstein. Why would I vote for a racist? Well, you're voting for Trump. Yeah, because he's not. Because he's not a racist. Biden actually is. Pete Solano! Democrats want no voter ID and other ways to cheat in 2020 election. Oh my God, it's pretty unbelievable. It's pretty unbelievable. I don't think it's if they go with Biden, they won't even get close. They won't even get close to cheating. All you have to do, I'm not going to tell you the names, but all you have to go to your favorite Medicare for All pundits with close to 1 million subs. I'm going there right now. What are they talking about? Okay, what are they talking about? Trump has terrible ads here. He can't say Yosemite. So this is just like when Biden said he's running for Senate. Okay, it's the same thing. He can't say Yosemite. So President Obama mispronounced Marine Corps or something like that. He stated it was corpse. So this was a couple years back. So they're not talking about Biden. Nobody here is talking about Biden. Medicare for All keeps skyrocketing. Support keeps skyrocketing. Okay, it's Biden would veto Medicare for All, and Democrats did nothing to pass a Medicare for All bill. But they're not talking about Biden. Here, let me look. Let me look at all the true believers on the left here. Oh, Dennis Prager. Okay, here they're talking about Dennis Prager. Here we go. Charlie Kirk. They're not talking about Biden. Oh, actually, it's interesting. Is Joe Biden okay? Well, there you go. Barely. So they're not really. There's nothing here. Go to look at your favorite left-leaning pundits on the left. Just what are they talking about? They're not talking about why Biden is fantastic. In fact, it's all about Trump or conservatives. And how Republicans are backwards. I'm looking at just three major. Okay, so let's look at let's look at the flagship. 4.8 million subs. Okay, what are they talking about? It's only about Trump, Ben Shapiro. Nothing about Biden. Nothing about Biden. Except one here. Noam Chomsky and Bernie Group team up for Biden 2020. Noam Chomsky is voting for the same person that Max Boot and Bill Kristol and John Kasich are voting for. And that's the left. That's the left. Noam Chomsky's...
I was interviewed. Noam Chomsky was saying that Trump wants to end human civilization. And it's pretty obvious what the Republicans have been doing. When it comes to climate change, Trump wants to end human civilization. That's not hyperbole. That's a fact.
Now then, go to the Vox article. House passes first climate change bill in a decade. In a decade. And the world's going to end in a little over a decade, according to the UN. The Good Heart 1000! Gave money to a lab. Money millions. That's right. The Good Heart 1000. I think I know what you're talking about. That's right. So, it's just unbelievable. Like, he's like Noam Chomsky. When you ask him,
Trump wants to end human civilization.
He wants to end human civilization because if you don't address climate change, you're going to end human civilization. Okay, climate change is very important. What have Democrats done? Go to Vox. It's funny, in their headlines, they don't appreciate the the accuracy of the headlines in terms of their hypocrisy. Like, the headlines are so accurate that they highlight the duplicity and disingenuous nature of Democrats and the entire left just so beautifully. They don't realize it. So, first major climate change bill. Climate change. This is March 27th. The House just passed its first climate bill in a decade. How on earth? The House just passed its first climate change bill in a decade. So Samuel Stafford, thank you very much. As always. The House just passed its first climate change bill in a decade, and yet estimates have shown that in 11 years, irreversible climate change will take place. So, the House just passed its first climate bill in a decade. Sigma Nu UCLA! If Deep Stater Susan Rice becomes Joe Biden's vice president, she will immediately... That's possible. Because they would basically, we'd all be glowing from the fallout, and then they'd be like, vote for us! We're the toughest ones! We're the toughest ones on Russia. They're the ones who are in bed the most with Russia, and then it's actually a Russian plot. If you say anything bad about Democrats, that's how much of a Cold War hawk they are. That's how belligerent and strong and hawkish they are against Russia. If you say anything about Biden, it's actually a Russian plot. Meanwhile, 20% of U.S. uranium capacity after millions flowed into the Clinton Foundation from Uranium One. Nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. Oh my God, nothing to see here. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you. I mean, it's unbelievable. Samuel Stafford, Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you. It's pretty unbelievable. It is pretty unbelievable, like, that when you look at the duplicity. Let's just hear. Well, look, 11 years until global catastrophe. Okay? This is UN.org, only 11 years to prevent irreversible damage from climate change. Okay, it might be true. Okay, I'm not saying it's not true. So we've had 11 years, and Democrats have known that they only had 20 years. And in the past 10 years, they've passed one climate bill. One climate bill. And then don't say, oh, well, they didn't have the House all the 20 of the past decade, most of the past decade. Well, so what? They could have championed a sweeping climate change bill, but they didn't. They have like, oh, well, we want, carbon emissions at this level in 20 years, in 15 years. So this is what they're, but nothing like, none of the Green New Deal resolution text. Pete Solano, the House has passed the bill a decade later. That's like waiting for Biden to. Pete Solano here. Thank you. Sigma Nu UCLA. Thank you. Whoa. It was like a prehistoric insect. And I had to. Sigma Nu UCLA. Pete Solano. Thank you. So there's 11 years until irreversible climate damage. They've passed only one major bill in 10 years. The rhetoric never correlates to the hysteria, the seething, fuming, apoplectic, children of the corn cult-like manic obsession. How dare you? And so let's just look. Major AOC Green New Deal proposals. So we have Macy Hirono had a great she had a great statement on the high speed rails, but so HR 109, okay, so this is a resolution, not legislation, but let's go ahead and let's read the resolution. Okay, whereas climate change, so where are the Green New Deal must be a Green New Deal must be developed through transparent and inclusive consultation, collaboration, and partnership with frontline and vulnerable communities, labor unions. So that never happened. Why haven't they done that? Where is the labor unions, worker cooperatives, civil society groups, academia, and businesses? Well, where's the collaborative and where's the collaborative partnership? That hasn't happened through legislation. Ensuring the federal government takes into account complete environmental, social, and impacts. So basically, it's like do great things always and never stop doing great things and protect the world from climate change. Protect great things, everything all encompassing. And this is the actual law. Where have they enacted any of these suggestions? So here. Stop the transfer of jobs and pollution overseas. Where's the legislation there? Enact and enforce trade rules, procurement standards, and border adjustments with strong labor and environmental protections. Why haven't they passed legislation regarding that? Obtain the free and prior informed consent of indigenous peoples for all decisions. Well, the Democrats haven't done that. We can go ahead and Democrats have done nothing here. Nothing. Yet they're going to scream at the top of their lungs. Overhauling transportation systems in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gases from the transportation sector as much as is technologically feasible, including through investment, which is pretty much what happens generally. But zero emission. So overhauling. Where's the legislation overhauling America's transportation system? zero emissions vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing, clean, affordable, and accessible public transit, and high-speed rail. Where's the legislation promoting this in the House? That's not in the climate change bill. Where's the major legislation overhauling America's transportation systems? Where are the specific, because we only have 11 years left. So they come up with a resolution to do all these lofty things, and they haven't done them. Disco Don! Sup, HA? You responded to my question last week if we should have more far-right congressmen. What's your thoughts on all these progressives winning? The progressives generally are not winning. If you look at there's a great article in The Hill. Disco Don, progressives lost the battle for the Democratic Party. Democratic Party's soul. Here's an interesting. The name Justice Democrats has proven to be an oxymoron. The group's strategies divide and conquer. Yes, a few progressives won high-profile races. If you look, though, and as NBC pointed out, the vast majority of Justice Democrats who have run over the past two House cycles have lost. In 2018, Justice Democrats endorsed 65 non-incumbent candidates. Only 24 survived their primaries, and in the end, just 7 were elected to Congress, so 7 out of 65. So that doesn't seem to be. This is an article by Jack Rosen. Progressives lost the battle for the Democratic Party's soul. Bernie Sanders is speaking with John Kasich at the DNC. So Disco Don. I think that there are some high-profile cases that are high-profile victories, but it's a progressive taking over in a district that was always Democrat, and taking over. For an establishment Democratic candidate. So I think that when you look at what Democrats have done to progressives, or whatever that word means, they've completely stomped on them and steamrolled, and just decimated any hopes for Medicare for all. Any of these, the progressives. Whether a great many of the largest pundits, like the million sub channels, whether they do it willingly or unwillingly, are basically just there to funnel votes back into the Democratic Party for people who want progressive ideas. But the most progressive ideas and policies, the Green Party. There's already a Green Party, but that's not fashionable. So they don't want to go there. Double D! Broadcast on DLive, man, along with YouTube, Pete Santilli, a bunch of hard news, and more. I'll do as well. Double D. I'm going to look at. I might look at that after the election. I'm trying to build Double D. I'm trying to build my H.A. Goodman's other channel. So, but thank you. I do appreciate that. I know eventually I'm going to have to, branch out. But, so this is H.A. Goodman's other channel right here. Here's my segment on President Trump. His statement, somewhat ominous, from yesterday. But subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel, everyone. Thank you. Double D, thank you so very, very much. I just think that, it's like meeting 100% of the power demand of the United States through clean, renewable, and zero-emission energy sources. That is not feasible at this moment. Why? So don't you think President Trump would want, who would not want 100%? So because between transportation and energy, that's 60% that's over 60%, 60 to 70% of carbon emissions. So, of course, if we could. But they just like this resolution is like they wanted to vote for it in the Senate, and they did. And then you had Democrats voting against it or just voting present. They didn't even want AOC Green New Deal high speed rail. This is ProPublica. Okay, hold on. Trains, not planes. The Green New Deal's rail controversy. This is CNET. Much of the discussion around the Green New Deal high-speed rail proposals revolves around one line: build out high-speed rails at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. Except the Green New Deal doesn't actually say that. The above quote is from the frequently asked questions sent out by Ocasio-Cortez's office. Okay. It's not actually, it's true, it's not in the text, but it's from AOC's office. Build out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. These are the people, ladies and gentlemen, who are going to save the planet. Do you understand? If you truly believe that climate change, which is real, and I 100% believe it's a serious issue, but I don't believe the rhetoric correlates to the response from Democrats. I think that they utilize hysterical and apoplectic and fanatical rhetoric to just get people to vote Democrat. Because they only had one major climate change bill in a decade, and then they have these genius ideas: build out high-speed rail at a scale where air travel stops becoming necessary. So high-speed rails over the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans? What does that even mean? That would be really fun with like storms and tsunamis, and that would be really good. What the proposal said. The actual text of the overhauling transportation systems in the United States to remove pollution and greenhouse gas emissions from the transportation sector as much as technologically feasible. Well, who would not want to do that, including through investment in zero-emission vehicle infrastructure and manufacturing clean, affordable, and accessible public transport. It's like saying, I want to be a millionaire, and I'm going to do a lot of good things to be a millionaire. I can't wait to take high-speed rail. Jimbo, I'll see you in about a half an hour. Jimbo, get the BAL boys ready. I'll see you at the pub. We'll have some shots of tequila, and it'll be awesome. I'll see you in about a half an hour. I'm taking the high-speed rail to Australia. Jimbo! Sigma Nu UCLA! UCLA! I'm dissing myself. There's another part to that because I'm a Trojan, but in Sigma Nu UCLA, one of the few Bruins I really, really like. Our illustrious president is right. The Democratic Green Plan is very childish. It's not only very childish, it's just a public relations ploy. Sigma Nu UCLA, they voted Green New Deal vote in Senate. They voted in the Senate. Senate defeats Green New Deal as Democrats call vote a sham. They call the vote a sham? Why wouldn't you want to vote on a Green New Deal? The measure failed this is an interesting 57-0. 43 Democrats, the cowardly buffoons, voted present. The planet is supposed to end in 11 years according to the UN, and you voted present? Why can't I have high-speed rail to see Jimbo in Australia? Where's the Green New Deal high-speed rail from here to Australia? The Senate on Tuesday rejected the Green New Deal, with Republicans casting the proposal to reduce dependence on fossil fuel to combat climate change as a far-left idea, and with Democrats taking the rest at it, voting present. So this is the biggest diss. They diss themselves as always, and they don't even see it because like The UN says in 11 years, irreversible climate change. You have the Senate voting on it. Democrats voted present. The people who introduced the Green New Deal voted present. It is so unrealistic and absurd that they wouldn't even vote on the proposal that they actually introduced. The vote on Tuesday came in the backdrop of historic flooding in the Midwest. So, again, if they can't even vote on it, Democrats vote present, and it's this unrealistic. Then they say, "Well, it's meant to be to get people inspired." Didn't get anyone inspired. These are the people, like, if indeed the planet's going to end, these are the people who our planet will end because of climate change, and then, like, you'll be foraging for berries. It'll be like, Mad Max. And like, we should have, AOC had this resolution. It was high-speed rail to Australia. Meshuggah. Sigma Nu UCLA, it's true. Climb BMX. I'll send my message in the chat. Climb BMX, thank you. Climb BMX. I'll send my message in the chat. That's pretty good. That actually is a great message right there. Pete Solano, the Green New Deal is getting more green in their base. Democrats getting more green in their banks. Exactly. And I wrote an article in the Federalist. The green, okay. The cars, the electric car batteries, cobalt, lithium, these are metals that are very, very dangerous to extract. And communities within the Congo and places in Africa and Latin America have suffered greatly because of these metals, of the mining of these metals. So they're just pure public relations. Then when you call them on it, they're like, "Oh, we're not going to vote on it." So it's just really unbelievable. Pete Solano, climb BMX. So what did you say? Climb BMX. Climb BMX. I love that. I'll leave my message in the chat. I love that. Climb BMX. Thank you. I'm looking. So, climb BMX. Thank you. Trying to look for it here. Thank you, Eric H526. I wrote in the Federalist how the Green New Deal would exploit poverty-stricken people across the globe. And thank you, Eric H526. I wrote about that in the Federalist, February 14, 2019. Nickel, lithium, and cobalt are used to create electric cars. Little may AOC realize, but indigenous people around the globe are harmed by mining practices. We have to come up with renewable energy that will address the 60% of 60 to 70% of carbon emissions, that are a consequence of transportation and electricity and energy. But they wouldn't even vote on their own Green New Deal resolution in the Senate. It was such a failure they wouldn't even vote on it in the Senate. And then there's still like 11. So if they truly, think about it. If you truly believed what the UN was saying, that there are just 11 years left before irreversible climate change. If you truly believed what Noam Chomsky stated, if you truly believed this, and talk about a grift, I mean, that's all they do, the biggest grift of all time. They think that changing a person's mind is grifting. No, it's not. Changing a person's mind based on the ludicrous and just criminal behavior, or based on cheating and based on lying and everything that the Democrats do on a daily basis, you could change your mind. That's not grifting. Especially when, they said, "Oh, H.A. Goodman's a grifter." How? I get more from what I wanted with Bernie 2016 with President Trump than I ever could have with Bernie. Bernie Sanders would have signed the executive orders today. Bernie Sanders would have signed the prison reform legislation, but Bernie Sanders would have tried to, and probably Democrats would have intimidated him to forget about the idea. But only Trump could have signed the deal to get us out of America's longest-running military conflict in Afghanistan. So, I mean, how is it not? That's not grifting. You have a good president. See, the media, if people aren't that into politics, they listen to the media. Oh, Trump is like, he's just rude, or he has a, bad personality. The media, like, they'll make anyone look bad. They would make anyone look bad. And they're propping up Biden, and he still looks horrible. So, it's interesting, too. Like, go look at your favorite left-leaning pundit. They're not talking about Biden. Doggymon83! Greg Gutfeld said that on the 5 that Biden is not going to be the nominee. He's going to be the nominee. He's not going to be the nominee, and you know it. Exactly. Biden ain't going to be the nominee. It's going to be Hillary Clinton. Exactly. Doggymon83, thank you so very much for always watching. Doggymon83. Samuel Stafford, thank you as always again. Whatever happens, Doggymon83, I did a segment today, and I don't care. I'm rolling with my prediction. Even when Biden loses horribly, I'll be like, you know what? Tomorrow, they're going to go back in time, and Clinton's going to be nominee. Okay. That's right. Greg Gutfeld, my man, Greg Gutfeld. Yes. Love it. Doggymon83, thank you. Keeping the dream alive. Greg Gutfeld. He's the man. Predicts Joe Biden will be out by November. He won't be Dem nominee. He won't be Dem. People don't change who they are. They don't change who they are. If you have a violent person, like a truly violent person, they can control themselves to an extent, but there'll always be some level of violence. They can control themselves eventually. It'll take a while. It could take a lot of time in the big house. But violent people, that's why people get in relationships, whether it's a man or a woman. That person will change. No, they don't change. People do not change. Political machines don't change. Tammany Hall till today, they don't change. Madam Secretary, God bless her, has unbridled ambition not seen since Attila the Hun. And there's no way that Clinton is going to allow Tales from the Crypt because the Russians stole it from her. The Putin bots. The GOP through the NRA was working with Russia. And they stole it from Clinton. So obviously she would not, and this is hilarious. She's speaking, she's relegated to speaking with 1/1,000,000th Elizabeth Warren. I mean, that is insulting. I mean, really, that's insulting. I am embarrassed for Madam Secretary. You spend 30, 40 years in public life. You spent 40 years in the governor's mansion in Arkansas, 2 terms in the White House, and as Secretary of Senator, Secretary of State. You're the most admired female politician of all time, and you have to be stuck with Elizabeth Warren? Are you kidding me? On at the end of the convention, or right before Biden speaks? Yeah, right. I don't think that's going to happen. So, Ruby Tuesday, hello. So, Clinton is going to be nominee because she suffered for us. She suffered for our sins. She suffered for our sins. She's done a lot for this world and this country. And nobody will be happier. Nobody will be happier than I will be. Greg Gutfeld predicts Joe Biden will be out by November. He won't be Dems nominee. No way. Fox News' Greg Gutfeld raised eyebrows with his theory about former vice president. Not a theory. It's actually 100% the case. I predict that's why he hasn't selected. So love Greg Gutfeld. Love Greg Gutfeld. If you want to be part of a newsletter, ladies and gentlemen, or contact me, it's email me at contactgoodman78@gmail.com. That's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. I have a newsletter coming out. But I mean, you've done so much for this world and this planet, and you're relegated to and this is the thing. Whatever happens, it wasn't by chance, but I'll roll with it. Clinton is going to be nominated because she's actually the best candidate the Democrats have. She has the money, she has the gravitas, she has the experience. They enjoy things like interventions that obliterate countries. Biden is horrendous in every way. And they're like, oh, well, you know what? He was on a bicycle. It's like, so what? President Trump could go on a bicycle too. Like, who cares? Who cares? Jimbo! Small UFO spotted over for Milwaukee. Strange noise. Why aren't I fit? That's so funny. It's like Poltergeist. It's like the Democratic Poltergeist. Jimbo! Timothy Hill! Profanity alert. HA. Awesome. Thank you so very much, Timothy Hill. Thank you. Doggymon83 just emailed you the YouTube clip, Gutfeld. Thank you, Doggymon83. Thank you, Doggymon83. Thank you. Greatly appreciated, and I do appreciate you. Even me with my prediction, I'm like, it has to happen. I'm like losing it now. I'm seriously losing it. Like, it has to happen. Hillary! And as I swear to God, I'm like, please, dude, just enter just do something. But it'll happen. Doggymon83, thank you. Timothy Hill, thank you so very much. It's greatly appreciated. And I appreciate all the kind words. Timothy Hill, they mean a lot to me. And I do thank you very much, and have a great evening. I just think that Timothy and Doggymon and Jimbo, I don't know how it's going to happen. And of course, they have the Academy Awards rolling, and they have the Emmys. And my God, are they selling this? Oh my God. It's going to be Clinton versus Trump in the debates. It'll be this channel better be the most widely watched channel when it's Clinton versus Trump. I think it will be. But my God. And she's going to do good. She'll do well in the debates. The shimmy. She's already practicing the shimmy. Working with Russia, huh? Trump? You worked with Russia, Trump. You were a Putin puppet, weren't you? Teresa King, thank you. Timothy Hill, thank you. Samuel Stafford, as always, thank you very, very much. Timothy Hill, very kind of you, thank you. Doggymon, thank you again. Pete Solano, an HRC accepts your nomination. It would be like, anyway, baby. Do you remember the Spaceballs? Hello, my baby. Hello, my darling. Wally Pop, thank you. Thank you, Wally Pop. That's nice of you. Thank you very, very much. Teresa King, thank you. Teresa King. Pete Solano, do you remember Spaceballs? Or I think it was out there, it was either Spaceballs or History. It wasn't History of the World, but it was like they're in the diner and then the alien pops out, like for the special when it comes out with a top hat and a cane. Hello, my baby. I forgot exactly what movie or what scene or whatever, but that's what I remember. Okay. Why if the Russians stole the election, Pete Solano, thank you as always. Why would you go with Biden? Okay, the polls will start coming in 14 days before the first debate, so that's about mid-September. So she has from now until mid-September. Jimbo. Spaceball. Oh, was it Spaceballs? Yeah. Eric H526, that's right. Jimbo, thank you. So she has until mid-September. I'm just saying, William R. Abrams III, you should merchandise like yogurt and Oh, that's right. Oh my God, I love Spaceballs so much. I saw that William R. Abrams in the theater. By the way, Mel Brooks couldn't exist today. You couldn't have Blazing Saddles today. You couldn't have Sam Kinison. You couldn't have Don Rickles. Pretty much comedy is like, you get comedians with like 1 million views, and I'm like this. I swear to God, I'm like, they're just making fun of Trump. It's like, that's right, Eric H526, the flamethrower. That's right. I see your Schwartz is as big as mine. William R. Abrams III, thank you. Love Mel Brooks. Brickyard, 4738. Love Mel Brooks. But you couldn't have Mel Brooks today because, Timothy, thank you. Samuel Stafford, thank you. President Trump is... today was a very big day in terms of him winning the election. He's going to win the election no matter what, but they can't spin this into a negative. They can't possibly spin this into a negative. So there's no way they can spin this into a negative. If the only people who would view it as a negative would be like, Rand Paul, like, oh, well, it's going to break the budget or whatever, or it's money we don't have. Well, actually, it's being taken from funds that have already in existence. But this is a very good thing. There's not like, you're not looking at a president that is this monster. You're looking at a president that has a personality maybe that people don't like. Other than that, like, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. What more do you want this man to do? You have the entire economy, or the entire. You have 40% of U.S. GDP, which is California and New York. California and New York account for 30 to 40% of the country's GDP. What do you want this man to do? He's not Newsom. He's not New York's Governor Cuomo. He can't control what 30 to 40% of the economy does. And you have two very important states for the overall health of the economy shut down. Sigma Nu UCLA. Our brothers in geography department UCLA tell us that global warming studies are all corrupted. Warming is caused by other factors such as current magnetic pole changes. Sigma Nu UCLA, just for the algorithm and the good people around. I am in complete agreement with the World Health Organization and the United Nations and the climate change scientists, and H.A. Goodman believes 100% in everything that media says. Sigma Nu UCLA. Yeah, the doomsday scenarios, that's nonsense. The doomsday scenarios are nonsense. Because this is one of the reasons that climate change is so Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you very much. That's an actually very important message. Thank you very, very much, Sigma Nu UCLA. Thank you. I'm telling you, Sigma Nu UCLA, one of the few Bruins I really, really like. Thank you, Sigma Nu UCLA. Because you don't have, this is why you have Democrats voting present for their own Green New Deal legislation, which is so pathetic. It's so utterly pathetic. But you don't know when. You don't know when the world's going to end. So if you say the world's going to end in 11 years, or the beginning of the world will start, then you're on the hook for trying to correlate your rhetoric with action. If your rhetoric does not correlate with action, then you're a hypocrite. John, hello. Sigma Nu UCLA. So, I mean, it's you have a situation, ladies and gentlemen, where you need President Trump in this day and age because Democrats and media have become drunk with political they've become warped with political power, or they're just so many. They care more about what you say on social media than an intervention. Tell a military intervention that obliterates a country. Tell me what President Trump has done worse. Tell me what President Trump has done worse in any aspect of his presidency. Tell me what he's done that's worse than President Obama's failed intervention in Libya. Tell me what he's said that's worse than the things that Biden has said. Tell me what he's done that's in terms of a political stunt that's worse than when President Obama drank water in Flint that was poisonous and he said it was safe to drink. I want to know what Trump has done that's worse. Compare, and when you only focus, see, the media is an active participant in propping up Biden and covering up any horrible foreign policy decision, failed policy decision, failed foreign policy decision. I mean, they're complicit. They're absolutely complicit. They're like an extension of the Democratic Party. So obviously you get people like, well, why are you voting for Trump? What? How could you possibly vote for Trump? Well, that's why Trump won. Because the people who aren't voting for him have zero clue why his voters are voting for him. I already know why Democrats are voting Democrat. Because they don't care about foreign policy. And they just want, I don't even know what Biden's, his signature achievement that he wants to achieve when he becomes president. But immigration, they want a little less conservative immigration policies. Who knows what Democrats really stand for? But they definitely stand for everything. They oppose Trump and everything, but you don't know what they stand for. So that's pretty much what the Democratic Party is about. Ladies and gentlemen, Hillary Clinton is going to be nominee. It's actually good because, Jim, hello. Come on, man. It's actually good because, exactly. Ranger partners, Goodman rule, never debate friends or family with clinical advanced delusional. 4-stage TDS. Exactly. Ranger partners, exactly. Never debate anyone. From now until the election and after they lose the election, don't ever debate anybody regarding Trump. It just doesn't work. Ladies and gentlemen, to the 546 people here, if you want to be part of a newsletter, it's contactgoodman78@gmail.com. Thank you, everybody. We had a great segment. President Trump did a great thing today. And I just want to thank you for your support and your kind words always. Samuel Stafford, thank you as always. Everybody, thank you so very, very much. Sigma Nu UCLA, thank you so very, very much. Pete Solano, thank you as always. Timothy, thank you. Jimbo, thank you. Mark, thank you. Everyone here, thank you. and Eric H526, Luke St. Martin, the two best moderators in all of YouTube. And I mean that 100%. Thank you so very much. Have a great evening, everybody. God bless. I'll see you tomorrow. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a great segment on there. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right now. People, this is very important before we leave. We haven't entered election season. This is not election season, not by a long shot. Clinton will be the nominee either after the convention or be at the convention. Who knows? But give me your thoughts below, and President Trump will go 8 years. Thanks, everybody. I'll see you tomorrow.